What's up? Ronin Man here. So we just finished the summit and got a couple of boys here. We got Ray and we got Sydney, and just wanted to. These guys have some experience here, and I was wondering, as a single guy, you know, I've seen my friends that are married, and they seem to be very busy. They seem to never have time to hang out with me. Now, when they're single, they have a lot of time. But as soon as they get married, they seem to disappear. So I asked him, I said, hey, what is it like, you know, one day in the life of a married man? So basically we decided 2 years into marriage, you know, after you kind of settle in, what is it like? So, yeah, what is it like, guys? What's the daily schedule? There you go. Just both talk, yeah.
I mean, pretty much we're waking up in the morning and...
what time?
Well, I guess it would depend on what time you get to work. So let's say, for example, you got to be at work at maybe 8:30. You've got a 45-minute commute. We're talking 7:45 here, so you might need to be out of the house by 7:30, which means you got to be up, showered, ready, breakfast, everything done by 7:30. But you know that involves. Like I didn't personally end up having kids, but you know I know people who haven't, and I've witnessed it myself. Even when I've lived and shared a house with someone who did have kids, and there'd be the running around organizing the kids and making the breakfast and, you know, ironing his own shirt and basically having to do everything for him and everyone else so that he can go out and then make money so that everyone can have a home and everyone can be provided for.
So if you're going to leave by 7, then what time do you wake up?
I woke up at 5 every day.
5 o'clock.
I was up at 5 a.m. every single day. Because now I have to start making breakfast. I have to get all the kids' clothes out. I have to get my clothes out. I have to shower, shave. And once I'm done with all that, then I have to go make breakfast for the kids while she has to sleep in because she's exhausted because she dealt with the kids the previous day.
I thought that women make breakfast.
No, the men make breakfast. The women eat the breakfast. The men make the breakfast.
No fucking way.
I mean, look, to be fair, I know households where the woman does organize the breakfast, but you know, I definitely know cases of both.
Okay.
And I've found that the more demanding the woman, the less work they actually do, and the messier the house tends to be, and the more they complain about how much they have to do and about how hard their life is.
Right. And then and the man goes to work. But you got to remember, she's pissed off that you're going to work because she does the work at home. When you go to work, you're going to play with your friends. Like when she goes out drinking with her friends on the weekend, that's the way she views me going to work every day. That I am going to have fun playing with my friends. Or when I traveled for work, she would even say that. She's like, but you spent those days in a hotel room. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere of Detroit doing work like a slave. Not having a party, but they view it, when you go to work, the women view you at work with other adults. She's like, but you're with adults. I have to be with kids all day.
You get to have lunch with your friends.
Exactly.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they are pissed that you are going to work and that you are getting paid to play with your friends, to go out drinking and playing with your friends Monday through Friday.
So this wasn't my ex-wife, but this was a girl that I was seeing at one stage. And she actually had a couple of kids. So it was almost like the same scenario, except I didn't have to provide for her kids. But I would get multiple calls every day, like clockwork, where it was the thing, I used to work in the airport, right, in the massive duty-free store. So I would have to, like, when all the big flights were coming through and the massive influx of passengers, it was like all hands on deck. You couldn't have your phone out. There was no breaks. It's just like, if you've got to go to the bathroom, go and get the hell back there because we're under the pump. So there was like specific times where you can't take a break, you can't be on the phone. And I would feel my phone like going off in my pocket, like vibrating like crazy, call after call after call. And then I would know it was her, and I'm like, man, it's going to be a massive headache if I don't answer this. So I'd go to the back and I'd take the call. And it might be the third time. She's like, hello. And I'm like, yeah, hey, what's up? She's like, why weren't you answering your calls? I'm like, because I'm at work and I was serving customers. Who the fuck are you with? You know?
What?
Who are you sleeping with? Yeah, no, I'm not kidding, Ronin.
You're fucking at work, and she knows that it's busy.
But
and she says, "Who are you with?"
She's like, "Who are you with? Who are you fucking? Why weren't you answering my calls? You know, who are you talking to? Like, you know." And she was like nuts, like fucking crazy, because she was home with the kids and she was lonely, and I was her source of attention. I was her source of validation. I was her source of solutions. I was her source of, you know, happy hormones by way of making her feel good. And by way of me actually being at work, by default, I'm denying her those, which then results in her lashing out at me for the way that she feels, right? Because she can't feel the way that she wants to feel that I make her feel when I'm with her, when I'm not with her.
Right.
And like I would have stuff like, you know, I need to see you right now. This would be like 11 o'clock in the morning. My shift finishes like 3:30, 4 o'clock. I need to see you right now. Well, like, can't it wait? Like, I've got another 4.5 hours of my shift left. It's like an 8-hour shift, mind you. She's like, no, I have to see you now. This can't wait. And if I'm like, look, I'll see you when I get home. She's like, if you fucking hang up that phone, I'm going to make your life hell. I'm going to send pictures of you to your family and friends. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's like this constant state of like control and mental torture.
Wait, that's full on threatening.
This is the life of a man. A lot of men when they date in Australia or US, particularly if they're not really aware of female nature and how to manage that at an early stage.
So how many? So she calls you 3 times.
Yeah, I'd say two to three times,
minimum.
2 to 3 times a day minimum call, and then I get once a week or once every other week the text messages with the emergency call. Which even if I'm in with a customer, I know if I get 3 calls back to back, that means drop whatever the hell you're doing and pay attention directly to me. And it would be something like the kid spilled something on the ground, the kid used their nail and peeled a little bit of paint off the wall in the bathroom or something, and it's like, what are we going to do? How are we going to fix this? Well, I'm the one who painted the bathroom. The paint is in the basement. I can fix this with no problem. This is not an emergency.
Now, how much? I know you had a you had a high level job, so she was calling you for this paint. And how much were you making salary at the time?
Yeah, $250,000.
Okay, so you're making $250,000, and you were on track to be a partner too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, on track.
How much would you make then?
$1 million a year as a partner.
As a Big Four accounting, right?
Right.
So you're on track to make $1 million, which is very good for the family. And you're with a customer, and she is calling with a meaningless, like absolutely meaningless complaint.
Childish complaints.
It's honestly, as a single guy, it's hard to. I understand this is true because I kind of sense this, but I've never had anybody explain it to me like this. It's almost hard to believe because it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would somebody do that? Because you're making the money, right? You should be. I mean.
No, I'm out. No, I see what you're saying, but she views I'm getting paid to go out drinking with my friends. So she's like, you're only having fun playing with your friends. Why can't you answer my call? There's no like you're doing work. It's you're having fun with other adults. I am stuck here without me, and I'm stuck here with only children. So that is much worse than playing with adults. But so your situation is way better than mine. So you should pay attention to me because my situation as the mother at home is way worse, way harder, way tougher, and it's like serious business. You're just playing.
What? I mean, how did you feel about that? I mean, that to me, that's just, it's outrageously unbalanced because.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like.
Oh yeah.
I could totally be. I could easily be a house husband, right? Because I like kids. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be. I'd be totally comfortable doing that. I'm comfortable going to work too, or starting a business. It's all good.
You know, like, it's funny, right? Because me and Ray are like, yeah, and there's gonna be so many guys listening to this right now, going, yeah, that's me. Yeah,
and then we'll say, and if I'm traveling for work, say I like a traveling week, I fly out Monday morning after I do everything for the kids. Get home Thursday night or Friday. Every piece of clothing in the house is dirty and in a pile in the laundry room. Every dish, every utensil, every glass is dirty, piled up in the sink, 3 feet above the sink. And then I get home on Friday or Thursday night, and it's, oh my God, I'm so exhausted with the kids. You have to take the kids to all their events. I need to go out with my friends so I can, so I decompress, relax, and de-stress. So I take the kids to their sporting events all weekend, and I go 1 load of laundry. Then I run the dishwasher. Then the load of laundry, dishwasher. And finally, after working, taking the kids to all their events and washing all the dishes and laundry, by Sunday night, all the dishes are clean, all the utensils are put back, all the clothes are clean, and now I can fly out again and start this all over again.
Yeah, and it's like, Ray, I'm sure I think you'll probably be on board with this, but those dishes and those clothes, those were not just as a result of procrastination. That was an intentional statement by her. Intentional statement to show you, right? And that's like a fuck you. You've been away having fun all week, so now it's time for you to not have fun while I have fun.
Right, and we have a 2-car garage. My garage door for where I park my car. Every single week that I drive home, no matter what it is, pouring rain, it's snowing, it's whatever it is, there is fucking something in my garage, side of the garage, so I cannot pull into the garage. Every fucking week. Oh, there's a kiddie pool this week. Oh, there's a kid's slide this week. Oh, there's the kid's bike this week. The only thing that I know for certain is there's no way I can just open the garage door and drive my car in. I always have to open the garage door, get out, move whatever fucking shit she put in my side of the garage, and then drive in. Every goddamn week. And the interesting thing was there was some creativity to it because it was never the same thing twice. Like, she really put a lot of effort into this.
How could this be? This makes no sense.
It's so relatable. I get it 100%. And by the way, you know that story I told you before about that crazy girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
I had another girlfriend. Same shit, right? I'll finish up on the first crazy one I told you about before. So I got to the point where I was like, look, you know, I'm drawing a line in the sand here. Like, I'm not answering your phone calls while I'm with customers. I will answer them when I'm done. She goes, if you don't answer my phone calls, then watch what happens. And I was like, all right. I'm like, but I've got customers to attend to right now, so I'll talk to you later. Click. Hung up, put the phone in my pocket. She rings back like crazy. I didn't respond to it. I got messages coming through. I'm gonna fucking kill you if you don't do this. You know, you watch what happens. I just left them. So in the airport, you can't get through unless you've got security clearance or an airport ticket and a passport. This is international, mind you.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So it's like max security pretty much. And I'm airside, past customs. And I get this call. I get one of the supervisors comes up to me with the phone. And what had happened is she had called the duty-free company, said that she needed to speak to me urgently in the store that I was working in as a subsection of that, and she used a fake name. And I think she said she was like my cousin or something. So the supervisor, I've got your cousin on the phone, they've got an emergency. I was like, oh shit, like family emergency, like what's going on? Pick up the phone. She goes, see, I knew you weren't busy. You can answer this phone call. I'm like, what the fuck? I ended up getting into a screaming match with her, right? Like, I thought I was going to get arrested by the federal police for, like, being insane, like, in a maximum security area. And I'm, like, having a yelling match with her in the middle of the fucking international airport. Like, this is insane shit. And it's just because they want the attention, right? And look, and I know that there's, millions of guys out there who go to work, right? And, they might get a text or two during the day, but it's generally pretty peaceful. But that's not all guys. Like, there are tens of thousands, I would say hundreds of thousands of guys that have to deal with this shit every single day. So the second crazy girlfriend I had, she was always doing this, like, oh, I need you to come home, I'm really sick. And this was probably a couple of times a week she'd tell me I have to come home. And it's usually within an hour of me getting to work. And it's an hour trip for me to get to work, minimum. And then just over an hour to get home, minimum. So this one particular time, she tells me I've got to come home. So I go home. Mind you, she's staying at my house rent-free at the moment because she had an argument with her mum. But yeah, her mum was a single mum. Of course she was. Why am I not fucking surprised? So she's had this argument with her mother. So she's staying at my house now. And the reason she had an argument with her mum is because she brought 2 puppies home that her mum didn't want her to have. So she's now got the puppies at my house where I rent, where I've got the lease in my name. And these puppies are pissing on my carpet.
Yeah.
And she's at home every day expecting me to pay for all the food. She's got the electricity running. Like, I'm getting bills that are out of control, right? And she's using the phone, and she's using the electricity, and she's using the water and the gas.
Could you legally have dogs?
No, like, it was in breach of my tenancy agreement.
Right.
So it's in breach of my tenancy agreement. They're pissing on the carpet. She's staying at home, using my electricity, using my gas, eating my food, right? Just because she can't freaking, negotiate with her own goddamn parent about things that should be common sense but clearly aren't because feelings got in the way. And I get home, right, and she's got my key. I've only got one key to the apartment. She's got my damn key. She's inside.
Ooh.
She's left the fucking heater on and kept the blanket over her on a day that was getting warmer. So she's like semi-unconscious by the time I get home. So I'm in my apartment block. I'm in the hallway, right? I've lived there for 10 years. I'm bashing on my own apartment door, yelling at her. Like, God knows what the neighbors were thinking. I finally get in. She's like, she opens the door after about 10 minutes of me bashing. She's laying on the carpet and she's vomited on the carpet, right? Because she's overheated. And I'm like, are you serious? So I end up having to call an ambulance. I got yelled at for calling the ambulance. Right? And this is just such a shitstorm. She ended up going back to her mum's house, and then she asked for me to come over every day. So I would go over there. This is like 15 years ago now, back when I was a massive simp. And she would start an argument over the most ridiculous fucking thing. And she'd say, get out of my house. And I'm like, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because if I even move a muscle to get out, to like head towards the room, the door of the room to get out, she'd be like, where the fuck do you think you're going? I'm like, well, you told me you wanted me out of your house. No, but I didn't mean it. You should know what I mean. And it's like, it's honestly the most unbelievable mental torture that you can possibly imagine. And there's like hundreds of thousands of men all across the world dealing with this every day.
Yeah, and then imagine, so we're doing this all day, and I even when I get home from work, there's still some work left to do, but you get home on a Friday, I do stuff with the kids. I read stories to the kids to put them to bed, because she's too tired for that. Then, after spending all those hours, I go back on the computer, and it's like, what the hell are you doing on the computer now? Are you looking at porn? Why the hell are you on a computer? I'm a fucking computer consultant. I'm on computers all day. That's my job. I am not looking at porn. I am doing actual work. That's how these bills get paid. But it was crazy. Like, what are you doing on a computer? That's my job. That's my tool. That's like a plumber. What are you doing with a wrench? That's what I need to do my job all day. Yeah. Oh, God.
And that second girl I told you about, the one I came home and she vomited on my carpet.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with her one day because I wasn't earning very much at the time, and I was living out of home in Sydney, and it wasn't cheap. And I basically got to the point where my credit cards were maxed out. I had no money left in the bank because I would never say no to her whenever she wanted to go out to dinner or something, because if I say no to her, then it's like she would get all mopey and shitty about not being able to go to dinner. And this one time I was like, look, can we wait until Thursday because that's when I get paid? And she goes, well, I want to go out to, she's like, I'm hungry now, not Thursday. I was like, yeah, I understand that. Like, maybe can we go to McDonald's or something? Like, I can't afford to spend $60, $70 on a meal tonight. Like, I don't have the money. She goes, well, what good are you then? And I'm like, wow. And I said to her, not wanting to obviously exclaim out loud my exasperation with the situation, I said, well, look, I'm not your human wallet. Like, money comes in and money goes out. Like, I can't spend more than I earn. She goes, well, you're my boyfriend. You're supposed to pay for everything. And this is the attitude. And this particular girlfriend, we ended up breaking up because she started hanging around this super slutty, super hypergamous Chinese chick with big titties who always had everyone buy her expensive stuff like Tiffany, Chanel, Dior, iRoomba fucking vacuums when they first came out back in the day when they were thousands of dollars. The boyfriends would buy her, the brand new top of the line MacBook Pro, all this sort of stuff. Like, I'm talking like tens of thousands of dollars every quarter of the year just on gifts and dinners and jewelry and shit for this woman. Like, it was unbelievable. And this was the girl my girlfriend was hanging out with. And this particular girl, she was the first person, like, I was her first sexual partner. So the hypergamous chick was saying to her, oh, you need to get out and experience, more sexually. So she wanted to, like, fuck this other guy, and she, like, was going online and chatting to other guys, and she was talking to this guy, and she's like, oh, I want to meet up with this guy, and like, I want to sleep with him. And
she said that to you?
Yeah, she was like, not directly in that way straight off the bat, but that was what came out of the conversation we had. Like, she admitted, she's like, well, I want to have sex with, like, you've had sex with other girls before, like, I haven't had any experience, like, it's not fair. So she was basically using the fact that she'd only had sex with me and I'd had sex with other people before her to justify her having sex with other people as well.
You're with her.
Yeah, it's like we're in a committed relationship here. And she was using the fact that I had partners before her to justify her having multiple partners while I was in the relationship. But I'm not allowed to talk to any other girls. Like, I got a phone call from my cousin once when I was with the first crazy chick I told you about. And she goes, who the fuck is she? Why is she calling you? And I'm like, she's my first freaking cousin. No, I don't believe you. Pick up the phone, put it on speakerphone. Like, this is the level of insanity that we have to deal with from jealous and attention-seeking women when we're in a relationship with them.
Oh my god. I gotta say, like, honestly, I've never had to put up with that stuff. That is fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
Is that standard in the Western world?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
And then those same women will divorce us and make up false allegations, take most of our shit, and they'll be like, well, we've got full custody of we've got the kids 100% of the time, so we need 100% child support and we need the majority of the assets. It's like, the only fucking reason you have 100% of the time is because you lied in court and didn't get punished for it. Like, that's literally the only reason you have them 100% of the time. Oh, but, you've got court orders that say you can see your kids. Yeah, but she doesn't follow them. And she doesn't get punished for it. There is no penalty for a woman to lie or disobey court orders. Like, it has to be super malicious over a serious period of time, and for you to be, like, super squeaky clean and have a good judge who really, like, gives a shit. Like, you've got to have everything in your favor, and still things don't go in your favor.
How long? Okay, so you meet a girl. We were walking down the beach and there was women smiling and giggling and looking at us. And when I saw them, I was thinking to myself, like, how long, if you met them and took them on dates, would it be until this kind of hell started? I think we want to go that way.
Yeah, keep going straight.
Get straight.
Yeah. Okay.
It really depends on the girl. It depends on the dynamic. If a girl really wants to lock you down, like she'll act fast. Like she'll be all lovey-dovey. She'll, you know.
Okay, so today is what, the 12th, right?
Yeah.
January 12th. So when? Okay, so she'd be lovey-dovey. How long would that last?
Well, it depends on the girl. So like, if it's someone that
Average.
maybe like first 2 months.
And that means sex how often?
Usually every day, I would say.
Okay, so every day, right? For 2 months, 60 times. Okay.
And then and it just slowly decreases the frequency over that period.
Right. So then what happens next after the lovey-dovey?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because they're not getting sex, they're dissatisfied. Like a lot of them will end up dissatisfied. You know, just they won't feel satisfied, or they won't feel as though they're being, you know, cared for or loved, or because this is a hugely important thing, right? Like, if you're not, and I've said this in one of my videos before, if you're not fucking her, somebody else is. Right?
Are we in the wrong lane?
I don't know.
No, we're in Australia, Ronin.
okay.
We're cool here? Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're not fucking her, someone else is. And if nobody's fucking her, someone will be soon.
Right. So she starts slowing down after 2 months. And then,
Typically speaking, at least in my experience.
let's say 3-4 months in or whatever, when does it change and becomes 2 times a week or 1 time a week? When does it, like, what's the drop off?
Well, it depends how happy they are with you and how they feel about you and whether they still respect you.
Okay.
If they don't respect you, you're not getting pussy. Period.
After 2 months.
But you'll still have to pay for shit. You'll still have to take them out to dinner. Like, you basically become the the Tinder date that doesn't end and doesn't end in sex. You're pretty much the foodie call, and the emotional tampon.
So then when then the pressure comes to get married, or what's the next thing?
Well,
Because that sounds pretty miserable. Like, it's hard to imagine that. But yeah, okay.
look, you know, the whole marriage thing. Like, it's hard to say. Like, there's no designated time or no fixed time when.
So this could go on for a long time.
It could go on for a very long time.
So very little sex, but more money than when you were getting sex.
Often, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Okay.
Because there's actually an unbelievably insightful article that I once read, and I think the guy who wrote it was called Jeremy Nicholson. He calls himself the attraction doctor. It was on psychologytoday.com.
Yeah.
I might actually send you the link, Ronin, so you can put it in the description of this video. But it talks about why the title was something along the lines of why women can't find a good man. And I know that this is the kind of title we hear all the time, and we just roll our eyes. But there was actually really something to this article, and it talked about how there was the 3 core attributes of a relationship that a woman needs to be satisfied, and one is the sex, like the lust. And you know, there are some guys that can sustain lust within a woman for a very significant period of time, even if they don't meet the other prerequisites, right? And those are usually the guy that they're fucking while they're married to someone else. But so there's that. There's the lust component, and then there is the companionship component, and you know, someone that they feel connected to and they can trust and talk to, and you know, feel cared about by. And then there's just basically like the everyday living companion, someone that's compatible with them in a living environment, someone that where logistically they work together, you know, the wheels are well oiled and things just tick along, and there's no real hiccups in day-to-day life. So there's those 3 main elements, and I think and I see this all the time, that there's just not all 3 elements in most marriages.
Let me give you, just so you guys know, like my honest, like the way my life has been.
Sure.
Just to kind of, because I've never really spelled it out, because you guys are spelling out this is beautiful. I had a rule, like basically I would meet usually multiple women, right? And I would meet them once a week each. If they were really good girls, or if I had my number one girl, she might be close to 2 times a week, you know. And also I might take her on weekends, right, to the beach or whatever. But every time that I met any woman, it was sex. Every time. Like, I'm serious. Like, every single time. Like, that is not exaggeration in any way. That is 100%. In fact, I was very strict on it because I felt that when we didn't have sex, I felt the drop-off in intimacy was pretty extreme.
Yes.
So, for example, I noticed this. Like, let's say on a weekend, I would take a girl to the beach. And I remember I take this girl on a Friday night, and we had sex on Friday night. And I remember it was pretty good. It was, like, pretty good. And then Saturday woke up, and we were kind of tired, and we didn't have sex. And then we went to this recreation of William Shakespeare's house out in Chiba. And I remember she wasn't like holding my hand and like head on my shoulders, you know. And the other couples were kind of lovey-dovey. And I realized the reason is because we hadn't had sex that morning.
Yes.
So I realized like the best strategy is to, let's say that you only want to have sex once a day for whatever reason. You always want to have it in the morning when you're out on a lovey-dovey time with her. Because that way, every day that sets the tone that you are sexual with her. Like when you go to sleep and have sex, there's very little time, like it doesn't matter like that much, besides the act itself, right? But when you have sex in the morning, it lasts the whole day. You know what I'm saying? In her mind. Where she feels, I can tell this in a woman, they act very different. So you want to have sex in the morning, and that sets the tone. And then if they came over to my house, generally I would be busy, I would work and this and that, and they would want to get together, but usually I would say, well, why don't you come by at 9 o'clock or whatever, and they would come to my house at 9 o'clock, and then generally we would be having sex by 9:30 or 10, and then get to sleep before 12, wake up in the morning, generally no time for sex in the morning because they would go to work, and then kiss goodbye, lovey-dovey, happy, and that was it, and then gone for another week. And then back another week, and then it was always had to be sex, because if you didn't have sex with me, things got confusing. They really do. If you follow this rule, you will fucking comment below my video. You will say you are absolutely right. It's most guys, they're so lost in misery that they don't understand this. But if you actually follow this rule, you will understand that 100% this is an ironclad rule. You have to have sex every time you see a woman. Otherwise, it just drops off completely. You start to not understand why you're meeting her.
And the more...
It's not that she's only for sex. It's just that that's what a romantic partner is. They're intimate with you, right? We don't have sex, right? We're friends. But an intimate partner, you do. And so it's important that you do that. And it might sound... It's like going to the gym or something. You have to do it because you might not be in the mood, but it's really good for you. It's good for your relationship to do that.
And the more the intimacy drops off, the less you have sex.
Right,
and the less you have sex, the more the intimacy drops off, and vice versa.
Right. So it's just very good for both of you to, and I can't get out of it either. Like if I'm not in the mood or whatever, if I had another girl the other day, I might be tired, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to give her a pretty good one too, because I haven't seen her all week, right? So that's kind of like the thing. And so I can't imagine like taking her on an expensive date and then not having sex, because that's not a romantic partner, right? That's something else, right? That's like an assistant at work, or a sister or something, right? And then it's really confusing, because why would I be with, you know what I mean? Like, why is she with me?
See, here's something powerful, Ronin. Breakfast's law determines that Breakfast's law posits that women determine all the rules of the animal kingdom, and where no further benefit can be derived from an association taking place, no further association takes place. And from a sexual and reproductive standpoint, people can piss and moan and pick semantics about what being an alpha male means, but if we talk purely evolutionary biology, alpha male characteristics physically are, strong, are muscular, are trim, all of these things. And I think that all of those are very important from a subconscious level for women. And we as men, if we want to remain attractive to our partners, that is part and parcel of what we need to take on board as a responsibility on our part.
But I don't even think this is alpha. I think it's just a relationship. Like, you should definitely be intimate with your partner. Like, it's no question.
Yeah, so I guess what I was, and I 100% agree with you, right? I'm on the same page as you completely. But in order for our female counterparts to want to be intimate with us, they need to feel like they want to be intimate. And if there's not some subconscious cues from us that are going to trigger that desire to be intimate with us, they're not going to be a willing party to that interaction. So, you know, what do I mean by that? It's like, well, if we're not physically in shape, or if we're not mentally in frame.
I was always in killer shape, yeah.
What's that?
I was always in killer shape.
Well, yeah, so that's why it's never really been maybe a front of mind consideration for you, because it's always been there by default. So that I believe would have helped you a lot, especially since you said by your own admission you were in killer shape. But there's a lot of guys, and back to the marriage thing, right? A lot of guys, I'm no exception, right? I got up to about 100 kilos when I was married. I'm now 82. Just to give some context.
Oh, so you that's another thing.
Yeah, I've lost almost 20% of my body weight in fat since I was married to now.
Oh.
Right? So, you know, as much as I can say, well...
Do you attribute that to, like, laziness, which I would doubt, but...
No,
or is it
there's actually a number of factors. So there's...
yeah, what do you...
Because I was working a lot, because I wanted to, you know, provide for... you know, the household,
right.
Even though it was just myself and my partner at the time. So I'm working a lot of hours behind the desk at an office, right? So I'm inside, I'm not getting vitamin D.
It's for the marriage or the relationship, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So I'm in the office, I'm not getting vitamin D. I'm eating meals at work, so I'm not getting sufficient nutrients. I'm at work, so I'm not outside exercising. So I'm not... you know, fuel. I'm not getting my muscles working to stimulate my metabolism, which then results in food getting digested slower, which results in the food that I eat at work while I'm not exercising sitting on my stomach rather than going through my system and being used as fuel for me. And my body was essentially slowly ballooning out, and my metabolism was deteriorating, my muscle mass was deteriorating, and my testosterone was going through the floor.
You know, I have a friend, a Swedish guy. He just got married like really recently. I don't remember how long ago. 2 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him the other day just before I came here to Melbourne, and he had gained so much weight that I literally did not recognize him when he walked towards me.
He's an office worker, isn't he?
He has his own company and he works at night.
Yep.
I think he does like customer service for some online company in Europe, and
so it's office work. He's on a computer.
He works all the time. He works all night, and he's real tired, and his sleep schedule's fucked up. But I was really surprised, like, because he had been dating that girl for many years, like a long time, and then he married her, and like I don't know how much he gained, but I didn't ask him because I felt bad for him. But he definitely had to buy all new clothes, without a doubt. He gained a shit ton of weight.
And see, this is
after
also...
being married, but after being years with her. What happened?
Well, see, this is also the thing, right? Like, is all of these little elements, so being indoors and out of the sunshine, not having as much time to exercise, trying to be more attentive to your partner so you can maintain the relationship, so you can't exercise and do other things for yourself. Lack of sleep, all of these significantly affect your testosterone, which affects your metabolism, which helps you put the weight on. And here we go, right? So now you're getting less mental clarity, so you're not actually able to see what's going on. So you don't know how important it is to fix. And while that's going on, because you've gained weight, you've now given unspoken, implicit permission to her to gain the same amount of weight without any repercussions, because you now can't turn around to her and go, you know what, you're not looking after your health, because right, then you're a hypocrite. And if she hasn't looked after her health, then you don't want to fuck her.
Right.
So you don't fuck her. And so
Right.
it's just this downward spiral.
So,
And I
so
see
the physical is a big part of it.
It's a
Not-
huge
not-
part.
not just-
Testosterone is so important.
It's not. I mean, it's not just her. It's like the factors of being with her cause you to have physical repercussions, which affect the relationship.
Yeah.
And your view of her, and her view of you, and your view of yourself.
And the way that she respects you and how
And
she feels about
also,
you. Also,
she feels bad about herself, I would suspect.
yeah, but that's sort of. Wait.
Wait, I think I got it wrong.
Straight?
Yeah, go straight. Yeah, I think maybe up here. Yeah, we're going up here.
Yeah, that was
up here.
that was
Sorry.
almost the wrong.
It's too early.
turn.
Too early.
This one? Okay.
Yeah. And I'll throw in that as far as the gaining weight goes, I wasn't even allowed to work out. Anytime I would work out, if I just said, "Oh, I'd like to just take an hour to work out," oh, if you have an hour to work out, why don't you do more? You have an hour to do more stuff around the house. So I could not even, if I did work out, I couldn't even say that I worked out. And forget about working out in the house. I mean, I had like a rower and different things that I could have worked out in the house. Any thought of doing that, even if I got up, so I'm normally get up at 5. If I were to get up at 4 and row for an hour, forget it. It's like, no, you shouldn't get up. You can get up at 4, but you do more work for me. You get more work around the house. You can vacuum at 4. You don't get to work out or row or do any exercise at 4.
What do you think about this? I had a girl say to me actually recently. She said, "I saw your picture on Instagram, and an old girlfriend, but we still, can get together, whatever." And she said, "You're so skinny," and I'm fucking nuts. I'm totally ripped. Like, I'm not skinny at all. Like, I've got muscle mass like crazy right now, and I feel really good. I feel really great, and flexibility and everything. But it was like before, when I was more naive, I would have thought that she didn't, she couldn't analyze my body correctly, or she wasn't paying attention. Now I think maybe she was like trying to get me to eat, saying like, get fat, don't be in shape, like don't be ripped. Do you think that's possible?
I think it's you're so trim compared to what you used to be. Were you always this ripped?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was always in good shape. Yeah.
Did you were you like
times-
more bulky before, or?
I was. There was a time when I was squatting. I would squat like 4 or 5 sets of 10, 400 pounds, and I would do the same with deadlifts.
Okay, so that's probably, was that when you knew her?
I've known her for a long time, so she knew me through periods when I was like, I would run like I was always doing a lot of sports. So I used to run like tons of 5-minute miles, and then I would, surf like all the time, and like I was always doing something. Like I was one of these guys that ever. I think being in shape is super fucking important. I feel better. I think better.
Well,
I sleep better. Like there's no fucking way. Like I don't want to not be in shape.
Well, I mean, back to what we were talking about the other day about everyone's got a different perspective. I'm going to give it a benefit of the doubt here and just assume that was a relative reference to when you were quite bulky compared to what you are now, even though you were ripped then and now.
Because I think I'm in better shape now. Like I think I like the way I look better.
Yeah. But
more like men's health look.
Yeah.
I want more of the men's health look.
Yeah.
I think that's more healthy. You know what I mean? The men's health look. If you look at a men's health magazine, it's not that bodybuilder look.
Yeah.
It's that very physically fit, active, fucking strong.
By the way, Ray.
No, 30 up farther. 38. We're taking 38.
Ray, by the way.
Yeah.
When you were talking before, like the last thing you said about how if you had an extra hour, she'd want you to not exercise and do something for her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, had she put on a fair bit of weight at that point in time?
Oh yeah.
So, is it possible that she was actually feeling quite insecure about herself and didn't want you to get in better shape and perhaps attract a better partner?
In hindsight, I would suspect that, and she was definitely the jealous type, even though I wasn't doing anything with anyone else.
Could women be that evil? They want to ruin your body? I mean, men never want.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To ruin
In fact,
sure.
There's been multiple stories of women who have disinvited bridesmaids to their wedding because the bridesmaids are slimmer than them by the time of the wedding. There was even one where she had her sisters as the bridesmaid, and she got her sisters to live with her with the months leading up to the wedding, because she was saying, well, I want to look after you, make sure that you're eating right so that you're all nice and looking amazing for the wedding. But what the the sister who was going to be married was doing was loading them up with weight gain protein powder so that they were fatter than her by the wedding. I'm not kidding, Ronin.
You're serious?
I'm deadly serious.
That's like poisoning.
I know.
That's very bad.
I know it is.
Because once your body, has a memory, right? So once you balloon up, it's really hard to go back because it becomes the new normal, right?
But see, we know that, and we think about this logically on a physiological level. But these particular individuals who I can reasonably and rationally assume are narcissists at a highest level, they just want to look better than everyone else. And they don't care what they have to do to achieve that. They're not concerned about the long-term effects of what they're doing, as long as in those photos that they're going to put up on their wall and show everybody, they're the slimmest one. This is how manipulative and devious women can be when they have an agenda that benefits them.
To me, that's poisoning. That's...
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that.
Absolutely.
But this is what they do. There are women out there who do this.
I know one of my friends, he's divorced, and when he feeds his kids, he gets 50-50 custody, and he feeds his children very well, like he eats very healthy. And when they go to her house, they just eat complete, like really, really garbage, like TV dinners, like really bad, right?
Yeah, like fish and chips,
piles of
burgers
rings,
and McDonald's and Coke.
And so the kids started gaining weight, and he was saying, now of course nobody knows, but he was saying that he thinks she's doing it on purpose to
undo the work he's doing.
No, well, that also, but also to make the daughters not attractive as her.
That's also very possible, especially if the daughters are...
by the way, this is a very smart guy.
How old were the daughters?
He's like highly educated and just generally a very sharp guy.
Roughly how old were the daughters, Ronin?
14, 16.
Okay, so I would say that if the daughters were looking more mature than their age and they were starting to get boys' attention, I'd say that was an element of it on a subconscious level. But I think a lot of it is combination of laziness and basically trying to undo what he's doing, because even though what he's doing is in the best interest of the daughters, she's like, well, whatever he's doing, I want to undo it because fuck him.
So
what's your thoughts, Ray?
How do you guys feel like when this happens? Like, nobody ever asks how guys feel.
It's a zero-sum game.
Do you feel like you're suffocating? Do you feel like you just feel like the world's
we're completely
against you?
stuck, Ronin.
Yeah, what else can you do?
It's like, what else can we do?
So what is that feeling? That feeling of stuck, like...
Just trapped.
Tell me about that. Like, because now you guys are out of it. Like, so what did you feel? Like, can you remember? I mean, of course it was normal then.
Like, it actually, once it's been going on for long enough at a high enough level, it's actually fucking infuriating and angering. Like, it pisses us off because we're like...
The light, I think.
There's no rational or logical thought behind any of this behavior.
No.
It's all feelings based, and her feelings can change from minute to minute.
But how did you feel? Like, how did you, like, did you feel like,
just angry, frustrated, pissed off.
Completely broken down. Just every time I walked into that house, I felt like my soul was being sucked out.
Yeah, like that gut-wrenching feeling, hey, Ray?
Yeah.
Well, like, so you would look at the door and you would feel that?
I would look at the door. I would see I'd see her phone number ring, and I'd be like, "Oh shit!" Anytime during the day, I'd just see the door and just go, "Crap!" Or at least I'd go in and go like straight to see the kids.
Yeah, and it's like for
I didn't mind seeing them, but
for anyone who's done NLP, they'll know about anchors, right? So seeing her name, whoever she is, if she's that type of person, which in those two instances I gave you in Ray's wife's instance. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, I think we'll probably be on the same page here, but when you see that number on the screen, whether it's a text or a call, there's just like this tightening of our chest or like wrenching in our gut.
Yep.
It's like, oh fuck, what now?
Like
what
a mild
shitstorm do I
punch
deal
in the
with
stomach
now?
every time.
Tightening of the chest, because that is a sign.
Instantaneous.
Well, that's a sign of like when you start to get heart trouble. Right? That's like, you know what I mean? It's like constriction of the heart. It's like really not good, right? So you felt the pressure in your heart.
Yeah, and
Heart
like
and
this
sick
was
to my stomach. Yeah.
This was so deep rooted. I actually had a separate ringtone for this particular girl, so that I knew when it was her ringing, so that I'd know to respond differently to the call, so that it wouldn't cause me headaches. Right?
You mean the respond really nice or respond
Like
fast?
respond quickly, so that it was just like I could alleviate any headaches before they start.
So it's full Pavlov's dog thing.
This is like full Pavlov's dog. Like this is how Pavlov's dog experiment works. It's anchoring, and like I said, it's a really powerful NLP principle. It's like, when a girl smells a guy's perfume of her first love, she'll instantly get that yearning for him and miss him, right?
Right.
Which is totally normal. And like, I'm not even mad if that happens to a girl, because that's just how it is. There's no point being pissed off about reality. But I had that particular ringtone, and we'd broken up for the best part of 6-7 months. She was totally out of my mind. Like, I felt free. I was all good. I was performing at work. Everything was great. And then she called, and I heard that ringtone, and instantaneously, I felt sick to my core.
Oh, she called.
Yeah, and I instantaneously felt sick to my core, just from my brain hearing that ringtone and registering that it was her.
Oh my God!
Like that's
so it's like almost like a trauma. Like it's like
it's
awakening of a trauma.
I feel that every time, even now, years and years after the divorce. And I don't get too many texts from her, but I get like one a week. And even the one a week, I got one this week. As soon as I see she sent one, I'm just like sick to my stomach immediately.
Yeah, literally. That's 100% true. And guys will be listening to this right now on Ronin Man and going, fuck, I know exactly how you feel. That's me.
Dude, I honestly don't know what to say, because obviously what people would say is you should leave, but obviously there's a trauma bond, and there's a legal bond, and there's fear, and there's like children, and there's money, and there's parents, and there's house, and there's car, and there's insurance, and all that.
It's like the only way you can become unblackmailable when you're in that situation is to literally just walk and just let go of everything and just say fuck everything.
Fuck. Okay, guys, thank you very much. And we just arrived back at the house, so we're gonna have to cut. We might have to do a part 2 on this one. This is fucking intense. I honestly, guys, Hey, Sydney, I am very sorry to hear this, man. This is sad. Like,
no, don't be sorry. Like,
it sounds like torture.
It is torture, but guys need to know that it's not just them going through it. Like, this is a widespread thing, and this is why we need to actually start to learn more about female nature. Not because we're woman haters, not because we're misogynists, not for any other reason than understanding what's happening, when it's happening, so that we can actually intercept that and start to correct that path. Because if we don't, we're going to be led like lambs to the slaughter every single time.
Because somebody, like, guys, when they're thinking about marriage, like, nobody tells them this stuff.
Nobody tells them.
Nobody has a clue,
Like, nobody will say
like,
to them.
you're not married, right? No. He probably has no clue what we just talked about.
Like, he will want to listen to this.
Because what a young guy will think, right? What I would think, even as a single guy now, is it wouldn't happen to me. Like, that's not possible. Like, how could that happen? Like how could I get in that situation? Like,
the woman you marry is never the woman that divorces you.
Oh, I thought that same thing too.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it couldn't happen to me. Just like exactly what you just said. I totally thought that before I got married.
And it's so crazy, because whenever I talk to women about how marriage is a shit deal for men, they're like, well, just don't marry a shit woman. And it's like, but you don't know that she's a shit woman until after she starts to exhibit these behaviors. And she won't start to exhibit these behaviors until after this pattern has played out. And the pattern doesn't play out until after you get married.
Right. And if you obviously in the beginning, if you love her, you're going to give her breaks on stuff. You're going to ignore stuff.
Yeah, you're going to let shit slide.
It's like a frog in water, right? Yeah.
Not one thing changed until we got married. Like, I know we previously said 2 months. We were engaged for years. and nothing changed until we got married. And we got married 6 months later, everything started to change.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It's like
6 months.
It's like
6 months after 5 years engagement, dating for 5 years.
It's genuinely like
So deliberate. Very
Yeah,
deliberate.
it was very consistent all the way till marriage plus six months. Then that's it. Everything changed.
There's honestly seems to be, from what I've observed, there's like a switch in a woman's brain, and as soon as that wedding ceremony is over, they feel this sense of security, and they stop making an effort. They stop, making the same concessions for us that we made for them all this time that we continue to make. But now they don't make the concessions anymore. They're like, well, now that we're married, you need to step it up. This is the mindset. And their friends tell them this. And whenever, like as a guy, right, and I've noticed this time and time again, when people are going to get married, right, they're like, oh, I just engaged to Cherie. And people are like, oh, that's so cool, man. Congratulations. Like, congratulations to what? For spending a couple of $1,000s on a piece of metal that you stick around a finger, and then like leading yourself like a lamb to the slaughter without any knowledge of what's about to happen. But no one actually says to them,
yeah, congratulations on that.
yeah, but no one says to them like, listen, man, look, I know you love her, and from what I can see, she's a great girl, but I'm just letting you know that every other of the millions of men that have gotten married because they love the girl they're with thought the same thing.
Let me ask you one last question. So before you got married, so you spent a lot of money on the ring and dinners and meeting her parents and like trips and everything.
Huge amounts of money.
Did you, in your mind, I'm guessing, because if I think about I think about myself, if I was I would think like I was already spending like once you've married her, you've kind of given her everything. Like you've given her all the money, you've given her all the time, you committed. So it's going to get easier now. You can kind of relax with her.
Oh, no.
Wear jeans.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you would think. No, but I'm saying that's what you would think. It's like that was because that's important. Because if you think something and then it changes, that is obviously traumatic and is like should be known in advance.
But do you remember that when this morning when we had that online business training with Olin, he was talking about you need to remain consistent for results, and you truly do need to remain consistent. You need to put in the same level of consistency that you did when you were dating.
Yeah.
But now that you have committed to the marriage, now that you're going to be living with her, now that you've got a house that you've got to maintain, now you've got a mortgage, right? Now you've got all these extra things on top of what you need to remain consistent with. Because if you drop the ball on any of these new responsibilities or on the existing responsibility of making her feel the way that you've made her feel up until the day you got married, you're in trouble. Like you're genuinely in trouble. Like it's not going to end well for you, period. And this is why I truly believe that this red pill knowledge and listening to these things and understanding what lies ahead is such a critical thing for men to do, whether they do get married or whether they don't. Because most men are not going to stop having sex with women.
You know what we need? Guys, what we need? This is what we need. Is you go to the haunted house, right? And you go inside and there's like ghosts at the door.
That was Ray's marital home.
Yeah.
I laugh at haunted houses now. They scared me before marriage. Now they're just a joke. Same with horror movies. Horror movies that scared me to death as a kid, now I laugh about.
See, the thing is, what we need is a marriage house. So you walk in, you send single guys in, and then they experience what marriage is like.
It's like you drive up to it and it's got the parking sign,
and
you press like the buzzer for parking, and the roller door comes up and there's a fucking kid's pool in the way.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. This would be good. We should actually do this next time. We should do this at the next. We should have the setup like with a bunch of guys who've been married. And then we just set up the house, and the guy comes home.
The marriage house of horrors. I like it.
And all of the clothes all over the floor, and the dishes piled up. And the kids slide and pool in the parking spot.
Bills, like a pile of bills.
And the bills stack all over the fridge with the overdue written on them.
All of his shit out in the garbage.
And then a note from the wife on the kitchen bench saying, "I'm not happy. I've gone to stay with my mum for a few weeks."
Oh.
And they leave.
You could also have like a daily planner where like you get the messages that a married guy would get.
Like play back the answering machine.
Yeah, that's what we need, like a daily planner. That's even better, because that way every day it's like, oh, you lost this, oh, you had to pay for this, $450 for a dog statue in your yard. Yeah.
$450 for the dog to go to the vet because you fucking fed him something stupid because you thought that maybe like feeding the dog pizza was a great idea. Right.
Oh, don't get me on pets and women. Yeah, that one is a sensitive one. Yeah. That how can we stop I'm
laughing that you came up with specifically $450 because, of course, 48 hours ago I got I need $450 for a new retainer for the freaking kid. I'm like, you have custody, you have everything. You're supposed to be, you're the one with the dental insurance. Like, the hell am I paying the $450?
You were the one that wanted the 100% custody.
Yeah.
And you were the one that wanted the 100% custody, get the 100% child support, got the majority of the assets, and now you want $450 for a fucking retainer. Well, I'm sorry that my $1,200 a week child support wasn't enough. And then you get your family tax benefits for being a single mum. So you get all of these little deductions and all of these little government benefits and free healthcare and all this other shit. And I get nothing. And I'm still paying the mortgage for the house that you're in and all the bills, because not paying that is financial abuse apparently these days. And I'm still paying the rent for the new house that I'm in, plus all the bills there. So I'm paying a mortgage and rent and 2 lots of bills. Don't get to see my kids, and you're calling me asking for $450 for a retainer. Get the fuck out of my face.
Wow. Well, guys, there it is. I guess it's up to people. Like, do they want to learn? Do they want to listen? This isn't every single person, but I mean, how often do you hear this? Like, it's like, seriously.
Well, people want guys to talk about their
There's no stats. There's no facts, Like, pretty much every guy I know, like, has a similar story, right? Pretty similar,
There's going to be guys laughing and crying. Like, they're going to have tears rolling down their face with laughter listening to this recording right now, because they're like, that is my fucking life.
Okay. Well,
and that'll be the only amusement that they have for the whole entire week.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see that in the comment section.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Tell me about it. All right, guys. Thanks.